Hey y'all, Big Tim here. People have been asking me a lot lately what we need to catch fish on the Ohio River. And it has been super, super tough. I mean, here it is almost October and it's still 90 degrees. So the fish really haven't transitioned from a summer pattern. And it's super tough. We just had a tournament over the weekend out of Carrollton, Kentucky. That some friends of mine actually cashed a check with 4 fish for 4 pounds. And I think they finished in seventh place. I forgot what the overall winners had, but it was not what I expected. It was pretty low. We had a BFL Super Tournament on the river. Those guys did pretty good. 2-day tournament was 12 something to win. I think it took 5 pounds to get a check. So pretty tough conditions here on the river. We've got another tournament this weekend, the Gallatin County tournament out of Craig's Creek, Warsaw, Kentucky. And unfortunately, Joey, my normal partner, will be up on the other end of the river fishing the Bass Nation State Championship. So I've got another young friend that's going to jump in the boat with me. His name's Jake, and he is a really good fisherman. This is the first time we're ever going to collaborate on a tournament, and hopefully we work well together like Joey and I do. But he's a really good fisherman. He's won a lot of tournaments on his own, and wanted to see how I do things. So we're going to jump in the boat together this weekend and see what we can get done. But as far as what baits I'm going to be throwing, tomorrow I'm going practicing. It's Tuesday and I'm off. First, I'm going to have a Whopper Plopper. Well, this is a Chopo 90. I'll be throwing this on the river. This time last year, as a matter of fact, it was on this very day, I ended up winning our Thursday night end of the year classic on a Whopper Plopper. Secondly, I'll be throwing a little small spinner bait. This is like a 1/4 ounce. And since the main river has good clarity, I'm going to throw twin willows. If I get back in the creeks and find that it might be stained a little bit more, I might switch off. But for now, I'm going to stay with the twin willow. Chartreuse and white, my kind of normal. I'm going to be throwing a 3/8 ounce jackhammer. This one's called Spot Remover, and that happens to be a Bad Shad green. Reaction Innovations Little Dipper trailer. So, see if that'll do us any good. Built a little confidence on that at Williamstown. Well, not that particular color, but built a little confidence on the jackhammer down at Williamstown a couple weeks ago. So hopefully that'll work out. This is another bait. I don't actually know if I've thrown this yet or not. I've tuned it. This is a wee bait. It's a local bait, balsa wood bait, made locally by a fellow named Wes England. That's why they're called wee baits, W-E. And they're quite popular in this area. And it's pretty light. But I like the foil and chartreuse. We're going to go with that. And I've never thrown this on the Ohio River, but I figured since the water's still clear, we've got no chance of rain. This is a 6th Sense, kind of a chrome, and it's got a little rattle to it. So I figure it's going to match the shad that are out there perfectly. So that's it as far as moving baits. Of course, you know, I am generally a dragger, so I'm always going to have a brush hog on. This is a baby brush hog in June bug. I built a little confidence on June bug down at Williamstown. Of course, another baby brush hog. This one's green pumpkin. This is my number one. This is what I've caught most of my fish on all the time. This is a little different. I've always got some sort of little beaver bait tied on when I fish the main river. This one is a baby biffle bug, 3-inch biffle bug. We had some success on it a few years ago and really haven't done well on it since, but I thought it's been a couple years, so we'll give it a try. If that doesn't work, I'll switch over to just a straight smallie beaver. Green pumpkin. And then, of course, something that's always tied on when I'm fishing the river, a 4-inch Yum Dinger. This happens to be green pumpkin red. That is a 3/16 ounce weight. 3/16 also on the beaver, smallie beaver, and a 1/4 ounce on the brush hogs. Now I may drop down one size since it's going to be super tough. I may drop to a 3/16 on the brush hogs, and I may drop down to an 1/8 on the dinger and the smallie beaver. That'll be seen. If I'm fishing in some silty mud, I'll definitely drop down, especially as tough as it's been. But that's the way I'm geared up for the river. You know, I may throw some other things in there if I find maybe there's a smallmouth bite on the main river. I'll break out a little rattle bait, you know, 1/4 ounce rattle bait. If I find the whopper plopper, they're really not getting it well, I'll pull out a buzz bait, even though I haven't gotten on a buzz bait bite all year long. Can't get them to hit a buzz bait. And really and truly, I think that's about it. Occasionally, I'll throw on a swim jig too. I've got to feel pretty strong about a swim jig. If I see them busting shad and can't get bit on anything else I've got out, a swim jig will come out. So there you have it. That's the way I'm geared up to fish the Ohio River the 1st of October, end of September. All right, so I've made some adjustments since the other day. I was out Tuesday, and as I expected, it was brutally tough. I fished basically from 7:30 in the morning till 2:30 in the afternoon. Very hot. It was pretty windy too. On the main river, in some locations, I had 2-foot rollers. But it was brutally tough. I caught 3 fish. One was about 11 inches, one was probably about 7 inches, and the other one was probably about 5 inches. So it was brutally tough. The blue-green algae, as of last Monday, it was only in the creeks, and now it is in the main river. Basically everywhere in the river I stopped, I saw it. Even on the windy banks, what would happen is the windy banks would push the algae a little deeper, and it would be suspended in the water column. And I kind of figured that the fish probably wouldn't want that in their gills. It looks like sand or something just suspended there. So I'd imagine fish wouldn't want that in their gills. I know I've read that the blue-green algae can actually eliminate oxygen in the water, but I think that's only if it covers the complete surface. So I don't think that is an issue there. I just don't think they would want it in their gills. I don't know how deep the algae goes. I think the reason it's suspended like that is the waves were pushing it down into the water column. But I did find one creek that had some pretty good water in it. I didn't catch any fish there, but right now this is only day 1 of practice. I got 2 more. I feel like that's probably my best option because there was a lot of shad in there. I didn't see anything busting, but it was just one of those days. The water was on the rise, and I generally don't do very well when the river is on the rise. I like it to either be stable or slightly falling. But anyway, we are going to make some bait adjustments. Having seen the shad, I mentioned it already, I am going to break up the 1/4 ounce rattle bait. This is a red eye shad, 1/4 ounce. I got that on a really, it's actually supposed to be a drop shot bait casting rod. I got this years ago from All Pro Rods. It's a really whippy, light action rod. That's for the shad. Other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put on a spook style bait. You've seen this one before. This is my Paycheck baits. I forget what they call it now. But Repo Man, that's it. This is going to be on tomorrow. We're going to give it a little bit more action. And then sticking in the same vein, this is a little different. This is another wee bait. This is a flat side wee bait. We're going to give this a whirl. It's got a round bill, so it'll dive a little deeper. And it's a little big, but I hate using spinning equipment, so if I can put it on a bait caster and cast it, that's what I'm going to do. I've got some smaller wee baits, but I just don't like putting them on spinning reels. So, the other adjustment I'm going to make, I am going to lighten up on all of my dragging baits. Dragging baits, not dragons. My brush hogs I'm going to drop down to a 3/16, and the Smalley Beaver and the Yum Dinger I'm going to drop down to an 1/8. So we've got tomorrow to practice on Thursday, and Friday. Now Friday the temperature is going to change. Friday is a day where it happens. Friday is only supposed to get to a high of like 72. Right now it's Wednesday night. I just got off work, and it's 6 o'clock, and it's still 91, 92 degrees. So we've got a major front coming through. And of course, Saturday, the day of the tournament, is the second day after the cold front, so it's going to be ultra tough. But hopefully we can get something figured out.